So I said at the top of the program, we have Daniel Fiverson, who's an evolutionary astrologer, trained in the Jeffrey Wolf Green School of Evolutionary Astrology. He's also a student of astrology as well as the I Ching and Tarot. His work, as I said at the beginning, embraces Eastern and Native American teachings as well as practical Kabbalah with modern psychological astrology, archetypal mythology, and astronomy. His work has also been published in the Journal of Evolutionary Astrology. Okay. You can also hear him regularly on KSFR-FM, which is a free public radio in Santa Fe. He also has a YouTube video and a SoundCloud as well. And you can find out more information by going to 4evolutionaryastrology.com. And that's the number 4, evolutionaryastrology.com. So great to have him back on the program. Hey, Daniel, welcome.
Hi, Michelle. Great to be here.
Hey. Yes.
I love listening to you because I need cards and charts to do what you do. So you just get it. So it's amazing.
Hey, thank you. But I love using astrology to back it up because it gives it something tangible and a reason why. Because when you see those aspects, you go, oh, this is why this is happening,
Right.
Yeah, so amazing. Oh, I'm so grateful to have you on at this time because there's so much happening on the astrological front. One thing I wanted to ask you, and I thought about it on my walk this morning, just to start in, is what is exactly evolutionary astrology? What is the difference from what you would say mundane or regular? What are we looking at when we're talking about evolutionary astrology?
Basically, I'm getting over a little cold, so excuse me. Basically, we're looking at the progress of the soul from lifetime to lifetime. So even though we're looking at the chart for this lifetime, it holds the stories of what came before, and really that's who we are. We are where we've come from to a great degree. So it's an evolutionary unfoldment. We're moving through time and space, but we're not of time and space.
I like that. So do you find that a lot of the same things will come up or reoccurring, perhaps other levels, dimensions?
What we're not finished with. Yes, what we're not finished with for sure is going to keep coming up until we work it out, until we resolve it. It's like gravity. If you climb to, I don't know what the closest mountain is near where you live, but if you go up to the top of it and you roll a rock off of it it's got by default, it has to go down to the valley. And really, that's what our karmas and our lessons are. They're going to hang around in a sense until we resolve them. But we also carry new intentions going forward. So it's a blend.
Okay. So would the chart show what we haven't finished up, what we're still working on?
Yes.
Or maybe even what we might have trouble with. Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's kind of what we talked about last time. It's in Pluto.
Yes.
Pluto carries the lessons from before.
Mhm. Yeah, you said that. Yeah, Pluto carries the lessons, and did you say something per house or the 11th house? I remember being something kind of. Maybe it was by the houses or something, but Pluto. So wherever people find the Pluto. What about Uranus?
It's Pluto by house sign and aspect. Uranus, everything's important, but from my perspective, the way that I personally work, and not everybody works the same, and I have to preface it by saying astrology works. So all astrology works. It really is determined by, what question you have, where are you coming at it from, what is it that you want to know.
Right.
But Uranus is definitely important. Uranus is the Jungian process of individuation and differentiation. It's where we learn, yes, at our core we're like everybody else, but I'm different. I have certain gifts and facilities that maybe everybody else doesn't have, but they have their own. So
really, yeah. So that's the Pluto, the lessons. let's kind of look at Uranus as also perhaps where we're freeing up. Is there a sense of perhaps
what
freedom?
we're liberating from?
Or what
Absolutely.
do we need to, liberating?
We're conditioned. Yeah, we come into the world conditioned, not only conditioned by all the karmic experiences we've had, but our family, our culture, our gender, our neighborhood, our friends, all of it, our nationality, all of these are layers. We're like onions. They're layers of conditioning, and Uranus's role, according to evolutionary astrology, is to strip off, shatter that all those Saturnian conditions that we have been laid on us to get to our authentic core, to find our authenticity.
Mm-hmm. And do you think we ever will? I mean, I know we're in that unfolding, but that we will live more from that. Oh
yeah, absolutely, yes. It's all good in time, and you know, time is an illusion.
That's true. Because I'm thinking, you know, that in a sense that's what we're setting up in a way, is to have this more inclusive or soul-centered life, which would be more freed up. Those layers would be more peeled off. And maybe do you think we're in the peeling process? I mean, we always are, but it seems like now more so.
Not everybody is. Some people are still gathering new layers. They still need, you know, the separating desires, the experiences of materiality, to be in time and space and learn about themselves that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's all good. It's all good.
It's all good, yeah. So some is that focus, and this is like, you know, when we talk politics and stuff, and I have people say, you need to march, and I'm like, people have to find. Some people are marchers, you know. Some people are dealing in conscience. You know, there's some people are baking the cookies, some people are eating them. But do you feel that you said that comment that some people are still, you know, layered and finding about themselves, or they're still living out the material? I think you said the material expression.
Right.
Is that something that will always remain? Is that part of this dynamic balance? Almost like some people are, you know, maybe more inward and some people more outward. Is that a constant? You know, in this
I think the percentages the percentages will change. Right now, we have the majority of the people on the planet, you know, coming in to experience, you know, to separate, to be separate, to attain, to achieve, to have money, to, you know, all the different separating desires. But as we globally and collectively have some of the experiences that we've actually had recently, that's going to shift. We're going to have more and more people who will recognize, no, I'm not separate. I am connected to everything else, and what I really want to do is just go home to source. And I don't mean that they want to die, but they want to reconnect. They want to remember that their connection and be part of that connection again.
I love that. Oh, so I like that you're saying the percentages. That's kind of what I've thought or wondered if because we do play out that, and that is, like you said a minute ago, very important. It's all good. So it's not that that's going to go away or is good or bad. It's the percentage of that. Now, let me ask you, with that, recognizing the interconnectedness and wanting to be, you know, connected to source, you know, and obviously live from that, would that make people more, I don't want to say people-centric, or more caring of each other and maybe more wanting to do more with each other instead of more thing-centric, I guess, for lack of a better
it's my sincerest hope. It's my sincerest hope. Mm-hmm. But, you know, Earth is a soul school. We're all here to learn. Mm-hmm. We're just in, you know, some of us are in, and again, this isn't judgmental or hierarchical, but some of us are in elementary school, some of us are in high school, some of us are in college. But we didn't get to college without being high school and elementary school first, right, and doing the work.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah. Now, you weave a lot. We had a caller that really wanted to listen to because you bring in the Kabbalah. You weave a lot in. You've got the I Ching, astrology, you know, the mysteries, Kabbalah. like I said, the mythology, as well as in the work that you do. You're bringing in, you're weaving all of that in, that astrological and the mythic perspective. Can you touch on that a bit?
Sure. I certainly move, through different, I use different tools at different times. But my personal journey, my path, Michele, is not about astrology. It's not about I Ching. It's not about Tarot or Kabbalah. It's about understanding the true nature of reality. And each of these paradigms or these models, it's a hologram. They're reflective of each other. It's like what I'd like to talk about today, how mythology and astrology and even mythology itself has all these parallel archetypes that are the reflection of human experience. And, the more that we look at ourselves, and I mean ourselves in the broader sense, and the personal sense, obviously, somebody comes for reading, they want to know what's going on, but, who we are in the broader sense is, what is the true nature of reality? How does this all work?
Well, and it's interesting because I think as we study the true nature of reality, we understand ourselves, and as we understand ourselves more deeply, we understand the true nature of reality. Two different, ways of getting there. And don't you, right? And we are these archetypes, we express through archetypal energy.
Right.
That is a lens. So let's dive into that a little bit. You talk about the solar self and the lunar self. If you can explain that, and that I'm taking that as within us, right? That we have a solar self and a lunar self. Okay.
Yes. But let's kind of start because it really is a story that unfolds. Let me kind of start at the beginning. Okay. With as much time as we have. The first question that arises for me, and I think for others, is perhaps for others is there's the synchronicity between all the mythological figures and the names of the planets. I mean, how did that come to happen? It's numinous. There's a mystery, a spiritual, elusiveness to it, and I can't claim that I know the answer. But I have followed, I've gone down that rabbit hole, if you would, and to really understand how they work together. Because as we understand the mythologies and read the stories, I don't tell somebody necessarily that they're like Apollo or they're like Hermes, but when if I tell a client the myth, they take away from themselves. There's something that sticks to them, and they say, oh my God, that's exactly what happened to me. So that's how I work with it. These archetypes go back to Sumer and Babylonia, and maybe beyond that. That's our recorded history, and they've come down to us really through Greece and Rome. We trace our heritage, back to the Greco-Roman, classical age. So these archetypes are embedded through our life experiences. And astrology is the reflection of it, it's important to remember that, astrology doesn't control us. I get upset when I hear somebody say, oh my God, Saturn's Capricorn, Saturn went into Capricorn today and I'm doomed. It only reflects us, all of these archetypes have a light and a shadow. And it's the consciousness that's brought to that energy, that particular planetary frequency, that's going to determine how it's going to express. Okay.
Now I like that. Now, how do people deal? Because you put a good point. Saturn's in Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn, or my moon's in whatever. That's not my son, by the way. But anyway, and people, it's going to be so horrible, or like a taskmaster. Things are going to slow down. Limitation. Right. Now, that's the lens or the archetypal energy. What is the empowered way or the evolutionary way to respond to aspects? Because we're to do something with it. We're to respond. There's some learning lesson. There's some experience coming through. Rather than shudder or have it fatalistic, what is the empowered way to look at, the aspects or the transits that are happening?
The part of the answer, and obviously it's a big answer, It depends on each person's chart, and et cetera. But part of it is embodied in Uranus itself. It's in finding that objectivity. It's being able to step back from an objective perspective, unemotionally, and surrender to see what's happening, to accept it. And you were just talking about this. We have to accept what is. We cannot change what is. We can't get offended by it. We can't get angry at it. We can't push back against it. It is. I mean, it's just what is. And we're only going to bloody ourselves in the process. So there's a surrender, which is Neptune, and an acceptance, which has to occur in order for us to be able to then process these events, these circumstances. But we have to remember the bottom line is that in each one of our lives, it was our higher self before this lifetime. This is my perspective, my opinion, I guess. But in the Bardo, it's our higher self that has chosen the circumstances and relationships that will show up. The free will is how we respond to it when they show up on schedule.
Right. That's why I always tell people you're fighting yourself because you set this up. You're hired. And
right.
I love what you say too about the acceptance of what is. I'm finding that that's a very biggie. I think I've had it a little bit in my life, but it seems to be a theme I'm seeing with not just myself, but with a lot of people, that there's a lot of energy put on resisting what is, until finally you're kind of on the ground. Yeah, right?
Well, it opens up all kinds of other things, and actually, when we get to the lunar and solar part of it, I think you'll understand why that happens. But let me kind of, what I'd like to do is, what I really want to do is, I want to bring in the hero or heroine's journey, because that's the most common theme throughout mythology. And I kind of want to walk through the steps, and this is all Joseph Campbell. I really want to walk through the basic steps of what that hero's journey is, and I have some examples from mythology of examples of it. So in each case, whoever that hero is, whether it's Theseus or Odysseus or Perseus or Hercules, the hero starts at a stuck and unconscious. Well, hello. I mean, astrologically, we all started there. Psychologically, we all started there. And the hero receives a call, which he often resists. And I'm going to come back to that a little later. That resistance. For instance, when Odysseus was summoned to join the Greeks in the war against Troy, he pretended to be insane so he wouldn't have to go. It didn't work, but he put up this resistance to it. The next thing that happens is that the hero wanders far from home, often for a very long time. He feels lost. Odysseus was gone for 10 years, and he thought he would never get home again. The children of Israel wandered in the wilderness for 40 years. There's this sense of being totally lost and in chaos. And, to some degree, we're almost moving through that right now, just in terms of everything that's happened, but that's another whole show. The journey lasts so long that the hero is afraid that it'll never end. And though he's actually striving to achieve what may be a specific goal, Jason wanted to find the golden fleece, his object really is simply to get back home. And that's what I just was talking about, how to reconnect, to get back to source. There's parallels here. Along the way, he endures trials and obstacles and ordeals. Theseus has to fight the Minotaur, and Hercules is assigned his labors, and Perseus has to kill Medusa. There's work that has to be done. There's crises and cataclysms of things that occur to us when we move through our life path that we have to deal with. And we're going to talk about all the astrological correlations to this. And weird stuff happens. When Joshua, at Jericho, the sun stood still. I mean, really weird shit. Excuse me, I can't say that. Really weird stuff happens. Okay? What's interesting is that the hero always receives aid from unexpected sources, often divine or semi-divine. When Theseus was in the labyrinth to kill the Minotaur, Ariadne showed up and gave him a thread to follow so he could find his way back out. And when Perseus went to kill the Minotaur, Hermes gave him his winged sandals and the sickle that he used that was used by Cronus to castrate Uranus, and Athena gave him her shield. So we receive gifts, we receive help. We're not alone. Okay.
Okay.
And along the way, the hero learns. He matures. He develops his character, and the soul grows because of the experiences. And when he finally returns home, he's totally transformed. When Odysseus was at the end, he's washed up on the beach, and his own wife didn't even recognize him. I mean, there's a metaphor there. So,
right, the transformation, right?
Right, because he's been through that transformation. So astrologically, how does this work? All right, so I'm going to look at two signs here, which really are the personal signs. Cancer is in the natural zodiac is the 90-degree natural square. It's Aries to Cancer. It's literally the pain of death. It's said to be ruled by the moon. It's our ego, our self-image, our habitual behavior pattern, etc. It's what's familiar and safe, okay? So it's human nature to hold on to something that's familiar and safe rather than to venture out into something that's unknown, that's scary. Well, it's what we all do. We'll stay in a job or a relationship. We know it doesn't work anymore, but I've got a paycheck coming in. I got a mortgage. I got a car payment, or, I'm getting along with this person. Maybe the sex is still good, or they're making some money, whatever. We stay where we are. We talk about the stuckness, right? Because we don't want to. We don't want to change. It's scary to change. Okay. These are the squares. These are the trials and the obstacles and the ordeals that we encounter along the way. This is Cancer. When we hold on, this is the lunar self. When we hold on to that familiar sense of who we are, that ego, that we think we know who we are, we don't want to change, that's when we encounter the circumstances and the situations that are going to catalyze us, often through crisis. If we really resist a lot, if that resistance that I talked about really gets entrenched in us, that's going to increase the pressure. That's going to increase the intensity of the experience that we need in order to move past it. It's a necessity. This is all necessity. And it's built in. Okay. We've chosen this. We've chosen to grow. But if our subjective ego is going to, be dominant to the soul ego, then the soul's going to say, hey, we got to do something here. So that's really kind of what's happening in Cancer. And I don't want to give it. You'll see at the end. That's not bad. We need this. We've all. I once knew a fellow years and years ago, and he said to me with a straight face, he said, "I've never had a crisis." And I mean, I looked at him. I just couldn't believe that anybody could say that to me. So we need we grow. It's Virgo. We grow through crisis. So we grow. If we don't have a crisis in our lives, we're never going to grow. Okay. Yeah. Does this make sense? Yeah. Okay. So Leo, the 120 degrees in the natural zodiac is the natural trine. It's Aries to Leo. And this is our self-actualizing energy. This is when we proactively take steps to go. We venture forth, and that's when the helpers show up and the gifts are received. Those are the trines. That's where the trines are working. It's the things that facilitate our journey. Now, we can say metaphorically that the gift was given by somebody else, but I would suggest or maintain that it is a fruition from before that we have achieved. We have somehow developed that talent, whether it's music or art or whatever. We have worked to develop that gift, that skill that now serves us as a gift, as part of our journey. Excuse me, just take a drink of water.
This is phenomenal.
So I think that the mythology of Hercules in Leo is particularly apt. It's particularly really describes the Leo archetype to a great degree. Obviously, it's not all this way. And just to backtrack a little bit, the reason I look at all the archetypes is that we can get one story, from the Babylonian time, or Egyptian, or Greece or Rome. They're like different versions of them, but each one of them is like a holographic image. It's a different face. It's a different view have you ever looked at your face from different angles in a mirror? The left side doesn't look like the right side.
Yes, I know. Yes, I have.
Yeah. And so the archetypes work the same way. We can get a different viewpoint, a different perspective by looking at the way a different culture approached it. For instance, there was a god Nergal in Babylonia, and he was not only the god of war, he was the god of underworld. Well, from an astrological perspective, doesn't that sound familiar? That was Mars before Pluto was discovered. So, these themes run way, way back, and we don't even know how far back they go. So anyway,
I got a quick question in the chat. Daniel, quick question in the chat. Can someone make 3 unrelated hero journeys in one lifetime?
Why not? Why not?
Okay.
I think it's really.
Fine.
I think the best answer. I'm gonna back that a little bit. I think it's only one journey. Okay. I think we can have 3 careers. We can have 2 or 3 really important relationships. Just because one relationship ends, we can remain friends and enter into another intimate relationship and grow through them. We outgrow each other sometimes. We need those changes, and it doesn't make it bad. It really depends on how we move through that liminal space in between and not get traumatized by it. But yes, we have lots of turns and bends and turns in the road. Absolutely.
So it manifests differently, but it's one theme, but it's going to be in different areas, perhaps, or different ways.
I believe so. Yes. It really.
Yeah.
It really moves along a revolutionary axis, which I would correlate to the lunar nodes.
Okay. Amazing.
All right,
okay, that makes sense.
So anyway, so Heracles was the last mortal son of Zeus. Zeus had a lot of mortal children, and it was really part of a lot of the problems that were created because Hera was so jealous. She actually created all the trouble for Hercules because she was so angry at Zeus for all his mistresses. But anyway, he had almost superhuman strength, so he was immortal. But besides his strength, he had a noticeable lack of really basic smarts. I mean, the balance was really, all to one side. I mean, one time there was so much heat, it was so hot that he actually pulled out his bow and he thought he was going to shoot the sun out of the sky, and he really believed that he could do it. But he had very strong emotions. I mean, does this sound like Leo or not? He got into trouble because he was so emotional. His pride was easily offended. Yeah, he had great aptitude for food and wine and women, and he created most of his own problems. He may have held grudges, but he would do anything to help a friend. I mean, he was a true Leo. So there's this synchronous diversity of mythos in all these stories. It's a hologram of archetypal images, and as we study the hologram and we study these images, meaning emerges, and isn't that what we're looking for? We're looking to understand our own meaning, right? And we kind of find out, maybe why this happened. To me, evolutionary astrology is not about what, Michelle. It's about why. That's what we really need to work with. I mean, it's foolish to charge somebody to talk to them for an hour about the what's of their life. They already know the what's. Let's talk about
I agree.
why.
Yeah.
Right.
Why?
Right?
Yeah. The why. Yeah.
So the journey always includes both sets of choices. Sometimes it's a solar choice, an outward, proactive, self-actualizing choice. Sometimes it's a lunar choice where we withdraw. It's just like the lunar cycle. The lunar cycle, we get a full illumination at the full moon. It's active, and then it withdraws to the dark moon, back to the new moon. So, and we go through those same lunar cycles of activation and withdrawal. And our journeys encompass the same choices. Sometimes we choose the proactive, sometimes we choose the reactive. Neither's right or wrong, because when we're in the solar process, we learn empirically, we learn experientially through the experience itself. And when we're in the lunar process, we learn through our emotions. We learn through direct emotional experience of our choice. So that they both work for us. We can almost say that we don't know anything until we've had a direct emotional experience of it. This is what unfolds for us, but this is the process of growth that we move through. And what I'm trying to show here is how these trines and these squares are really work together. They're all good. Jeff Green says, that it's actually, we want the squares in oppositions because the trines are just going to make us into a couch potato. We don't have to work at it. It's too easy.
Yeah.
When we have a square, there's no way we can ignore it. It's going to grab us by
That's
our,
right.
right, and right. So, yeah.
Oh, it's so true. Yeah. We need,
yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. No, I agree. We need that.
So we need it. So this is the process of how we're moving through our lives. And, again, I believe that this journey can extend over more than one lifetime because maybe we don't really reach that point in our lifetime where we get home again. The destination is home. We have to remember that. And it may take us many lifetimes to get home. And we may be in lifetimes where we feel that we're lost and we've been adrift and lost at sea or lost in the desert for such a long time that our compass, just isn't working anymore or is spinning. So, I think that the work, I think that the beauty of astrology, the beauty of tarot, the beauty of all these divinatory arts is really to bring our compass back into alignment, to show us where we need to go, what we need to know, where we are.
Mm-hmm. Helping us navigate, right?
Right, exactly. Navigate reality.
Yeah.
Navigate time and space,
reality.
because we're not. I mean, this is a little woo-woo, but we're in time and space, but we're not of it. That's not who we are.
Yeah, I love how you put that. Yeah, what is it? You're in this world, but not of it. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And when we begin to recognize that, we can begin to free ourselves from it and make more conscious choices.
Mm-hmm.
It's about consciousness.
And
it's about becoming more.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like how you call it arts, because there really is an artistic knack to doing all of this, to looking, and I think on some level we have to make it our own, whatever it is that we're, using to navigate. So the solar aspect of us is obviously, it seems like that's the more outer or more maybe action-oriented part of us.
Yes, it's the fire. It's the fire trine. It's the fire triad. It's the self-actualizing life force that comes through the sun, that energizes our entire solar system. It energizes us. It's the life force itself.
Mm-hmm. And there seems to be, I think, for a lot of people, and of course you can see it reflected in the chart and therefore their life, a balance between this lunar aspect and the solar. Sometimes they can seem to be at odds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Any thought on
that?
Well,
the relationship between sun and moon often will, highlight, what's going on there. We all have an anima and an animus. And, in general, the world is going through that balance. That we've been in a patriarchal world for 6,000 years. And, some are saying that we're in the death throes of that. But that, it's a liminal space. We're passing through a period which is difficult because we're dealing with all the things that have not been dealt with over a long period of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say so. And it seems like it's coming up, now. And I like how you say, to me, it seems like it's been since recorded history. I don't know beyond that. We have had this view, this orientation and this view. So it's, we've had it for a very, very, very long time. I don't think it's just, and it's not only within the fabric of our society, but I feel each person to some degree. Some people may have less of it, I don't think it's gender specific, but it is very much encoded right within how we think and respond.
I agree. Mm-hmm. But 6,000 years ago, the fertility goddesses, it was a matriarchal role because it was recognized that the birth of a human child was the most sacred event in human experience. When men figured out that they were part of the equation, everything changed. Yeah.
And by the way, in the matriarchal, it wasn't so great either. It wasn't so evolved. If you look back at some of the
it's hard to say. I haven't yet been able to project myself in and actually see what it was like, but I have a sense that it was probably a lot more natural. There was more natural law than today. It might have been harder life. Survival may have been harder, but the tone of life, the character of existence was based on what was natural, not what was man-made. We have taken science and we've tried to bend, science to our needs, and it's not working. It's all backfiring.
No, it's backfiring. Yeah, and maybe on some level it needs to. But I'm just saying there were power plays. If you read some books on the accounts, especially from a Jungian perspective, there was, I think this next step, and maybe I'm just hopeful, but I think the integration, I think the swinging from one to the next, I think the tempering is going to bring more of a balanced shield.
I agree.
Of power. Yeah, right? Or empowerment.
Right. So it is happening. Look at the Women's March. It was a phenomenal outpouring of collective energy. It was amazing. I've been to a lot of, we go to the rallies here in town, but I've never seen anything like it. We live in a tiny town. It's only 250,000 people here, and 16,000 people turned out for this event. It was just amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And I find a lot of, on some level, compassion and willing to take care of. Finding ways not to just disrupt, and make change, but, to take care of in the process,
right.
Which I find pretty amazing. Right. So getting back, Daniel, to the solar self and the lunar self, that's a great starting point for somebody. What would you suggest? I mean, people on their path right now really wanting to kind of realign, to their truth. I'm finding a lot of people say, who am I? What am I really about? What am I meant to do? Maybe looking in this. Yeah. Yeah. What were you saying?
It's interesting. I think the fix actually represents almost like a homeopathic remedy. In other words, it requires its opposite. And the sun is our the sun really represents more of our brain, if you would. And the moon is more of our heart. They're both intelligent organs, but our brain is always going to rationalize and tell us what we need to do, maybe out of fear, or it's certainly not going to tell our heart. I guess what I'm trying to say is our heart will never steer us wrong. Our head will say, you got payments to make, and you have these responsibilities and these commitments, and not to diminish our commitments and responsibilities. Certainly, that's also Pluto and Saturn, but to really come from the heart and let our own emotional nature, our authentic nature, and our heart guide us, because it'll never steer us wrong. If we're in a job, for instance, or in a relationship, and we know that we're really not happy in that relationship or job, our heart is hurting, then we have to listen to that, because it's trying to tell us something. And our head, on the other hand, saying, no, you can't leave because that's your security. We're all about security. But we're all about security. But our heart will lead us to that place that's the most safe and secure, because it's where we really need to be.
So in a way, that perhaps what I'm hearing, a big part of this is learning to listen to the heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
And listen to our body in terms of what it needs. Right. Listen to our body, listen to our heart, Yes, to be as self-conscious in that from that perspective as we can, to really hear what's going on from inside of us, not from outside of us.
Mhm. And of course, it goes back to that knowing yourself, and taking the time to really listen and feel. As you say, with the body, there's a lot of wisdom there. Now, Daniel, we're winding out here. You've got two websites. You've got your Daniel Fiverson, DanielFiverson, and then for evolutionaryastrology.com, right?
Yes. Yeah. The For Evolutionary Astrology is my metaphysical work. The other's really just my personal. I'm a Leo, so I'm a photographer. I've got my photography out there, and the places that my partner and I love to go hiking, and it's really about my personal life. Just what I do to have fun, really, and creatively.
Okay.
But For Evolutionary Astrology is my more serious work. It's where all my blogs are. Everything that I write ends up there. It really is the focus of my life at this point in time.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, I really want to thank you for being on the program. It's always so insightful and interesting, and you gave us another tidbit to really kind of know ourselves more and navigate, as you say, reality, what is happening. So thank you for being on Awakenings.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure really to be here, to be able to talk about this and share it, because that really is my intention is to be able to share this stuff with people so that they can use it and they can work with it and find the meaning in their lives and be on that journey and enjoy it.
Love, if you can, come back and talk about what you touched on, and I'm like, that piqued my interest, of archetypally what's going on now.
Mm-hmm.
What we're in the throes of now. Yeah. So I'll have them.
Well, you know what to do. You know what to do, and I will be here.
Okay. All right, Daniel. All right. Have a wonderful holiday time, and we'll talk soon.
Great holiday. Happy and healthy New Year.
Thank you. Bye.